when it comes to the provision of military assistance to Ukraine, nothing is off the table. And that's because we're determined to ensure that Vladimir, the president, and his people can be victorious against Russian aggression. And we've backed up that rhetoric with action. Last year, behind the United States, we were the single largest donor of military equipment to Ukraine, and we said that we would match or exceed that amount, almost £2.5 billion again this year. And you saw when it came to the provision of main battle tanks. We were the first G7 nation. I announced that weeks ago, something that the President and I had discussed previously. It was important in order to ensure that Ukraine could make progress on the battlefield. And I think we helped lead an international conversation which led to many other countries following us and providing main battle tanks to Ukraine. So when it comes to fighter combat aircraft, of course, they are part of the conversation. Indeed, we've been discussing that today and have been previously. And that's why we've announced today that we will be training Ukrainian Air Force on NATO standard platforms. Because the first step in being able to provide advanced aircraft is to have soldiers or aviators that are capable of using them. That is a process that takes some time. We've started that process today. That's because we're keen to support the President and his country in delivering a victory, and nothing is off the table. And our leadership on this issue is something that we all collectively should be very proud of, and I know that the President is grateful for.
When we talk about the battlefield, what are our priorities? Of course, armored vehicles. You know, we know that our enemy has got thousands units of armored vehicles, you know, back from the Soviet Union heritage, and of course NATO armored vehicles. They are the best, and yet there are only a few of them. You know, when you only have 10 NATO armored vehicles against 1,000 of Soviet armored vehicles, well, what are the chances, you know? And we have no way out. We have to stand firm. We need armored vehicles, we need tanks, we need fighter jets, and obviously we've spent a lot of time talking about this together, and you've just heard what Mr. Prime Minister has already mentioned. And even today and tomorrow we will be meeting with the EU leaders and discussing these issues, and also longer range missiles. That's our priority, and I'm very grateful that Britain has finally heard us in that regard, and I do hope that other countries will also hear us when it comes to longer range missiles, you know, because we do need to push back the Russians so people can just live.